He thought that he was becoming mad because all of these verses, Jibreel coming down, he thought that, you know what, this is too good to be true, or this is just too out of the ordinary. So there was a time when the Prophet ﷺ wanted to kill himself. He wanted to kill himself because he hated mad people. He didn't want to be mad himself. He didn't like to be mad. And so as a result, he thought he was becoming mad. So for a period of time, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not give him the hidayah, did not give him any revelation at all. And when he did not give him any revelation, the Prophet ﷺ thought that all the other things that he had heard about was actually not true. He had just made it up himself, or perhaps he had imagined himself as becoming mad. So what he used to do, he used to look up in the sky and see what's happening, where is the answer, nothing coming down. And then one day the Prophet ﷺ decided that he would go up to the top of a mountain and throw himself off. So Sufyan al-Thawri reported that once the Prophet ﷺ went up on the top of a mountain, he was going to throw himself off, and then he suddenly heard a voice saying, Ya Muhammad, and then he looked up, and looked up, and he saw Jibreel alayhi salam sitting down on a throne of light. And he was sitting down on a throne of light. And he said, verily you are the messenger of Allah. Verily you are the messenger of Allah, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So the Prophet ran down, ran down from the mountain, running down to his wife and said, Dathiruni, really cover me up. And Khadija radiallahu ta'ala covered him up in multiple garments, multiple dunas. You know dunas, which is the covering that we put on our heads. So you put 1, 2, 3 and cover him up, and it was underneath the garment. Was at this point that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed to him Surah Muddathir. Surah Muddathir was to tell the Prophet ﷺ that he was Messenger of Allah, and there was no more time to fret or for him to be unsure. It is time now to go out and proclaim the message of Islam to the people and to bring them back to the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Surah Muddathir, in the initial part, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prepares the Prophet ﷺ for the message. So he tells them, he tells them, he tells him, glorify your Lord, purify your clothes, go and call them to the path, etc., etc. He tells them all these things. Then in the middle part of the surah, or in the just after the first part, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prepares him for the enemies of God. The enemies of God, when they heard that Rasulullah was given the message, they began to prepare for how to destroy the message. So when did the Quran come down to the Prophet? It came down in the year minus 13, of course, because the 0 was when it started. So minus 13 years before Hijrah. So minus 13, the message came down in Ramadan. Then the Prophet was given a few months to get adjusted. Then of course you know Ramadan is month number 9, correct? Month number 9, yes? And then thereafter, the Prophet was given a few months to adjust, a few more months to get accustomed, a few more months, revelation came slowly until the next year entered, which is the next year minus 12 of Hijrah. The next year entered, a few more months, the Prophet was slowly given the message. And then thereafter, Surah Muddathir came down after Ramadan. Surah Muddathir came down in minus 12 after Ramadan. So around month number 10 or 11, just before Hajj. So it came down before Hajj, and that was the time when the Prophet was asked to proclaim out the message openly and loudly to people. At this point, the Quraysh became very bewildered. They didn't know how to counter the message of Muhammad ﷺ because it was so eloquent, it would make so much logic, it would make so much sense. They didn't know how to counter. So what did they do? They all got together as a group. This is Abu Lahab, Abu Jahl, Al-Walid ibn al-Mughira, all of them got together, the council of the Shayateen of Quraysh, they all got together and they decided to come up with a strategy to destroy the message of Muhammad ﷺ just before the Hujjaj were about to come. As you know, the Mushrikeen still performed Hajj. They still performed Hajj at the time of Jahiliyyah because that was a sunnah that was started by Ibrahim alayhi salam. However, they left the Sunnah of Ibrahim, which was Tawfique, and they went on to Sheikh, and they still make Hajj, and they make Hajj and Sheikh. So they used to still come to Makkah, so they were very afraid that the people of Arabia would take the Messenger of Muhammad and spread it across, so they had to discredit Muhammad somehow. So some of them said, let's call him a bad man. Then Abu Jahl said, no, he's not bad, he doesn't sound like that, he looks very poetic, he doesn't sound like that, his madness is la 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 la. And this doesn't sound like madness, it sounds very poetic Arabic language, so we can't call him bad. Some said, okay, let's call him, it's not bad, let's call him a poet. Well, then Walid ibn Mughira said, if you call him a poet, that's worse, because then they want to listen to his poetry. They will want to listen to his poetry. Oh, a new poet with fantastic poetry, let's go listen to him. Because the Arabs love poetry. So don't call him a poet, call him something else. So they started coming up with ideas of what to say. They could not agree on what to call Rasulullah. So this man, Walid ibn Mughira, the worst of them all, or the one who is the most united. Do you know which of the enemies is the worst? It's the one that quietly listens, who is quiet, is looking at you. He wants to kill you, he wants to destroy you, but he is not hasty. He is not the one who will do straight away. He is not the one who is the most angry, the one the most loud. No, he is the one the most quiet, the one who is looking at everyone, the one who is quietly plotting and planning. That is the most dangerous, correct? Because that is the one who is thinking and trying to figure out your weakness and trying to figure out the worst way to destroy you. That is a Walid ibn Mughira. So the scholars will still say the middle part of the surah was revealed regarding Walid ibn Mughira. إِنَّهُ فَكَّرَ وَقَدَّرَ فَقُتِلَ كَيْفَ قَدَّرَ ثُمَّ قُتِلَ كَيْفَ قَدَّرَ ثُمَّ نَظَرَ ثُمَّ عَبَسَ وَبَصَرَ. Who is Allah talking about? Allah is talking about Walid ibn Mughira. This man came up with a devilish plan. What did he say? إِنْ هَذَا إِلَّا سِحْرٌ يُؤْثَرُ. Let's call it magic. That's why it's magic. So when people hear it's magic, they'll know that's why it's eloquent, because magic is eloquent. And if it's magic, we should stay far away from it, lest we become bewitched, and lest the magic come into us and destroy us as well. So that's why he started to say that Quran is magic. And that is why none of the people follow Rasulullah. None of the people who came for Hajj that year ever listened to the Prophet. Whenever the Prophet came, they would run a mile away from him. Why? Because they were afraid that his magic would just listen to the word would be enough to bewitch them, and so that's why they ran away. That's why Allah says, I will destroy him in the Saqat, which is the terrible Jahannam. Then the middle part of the surah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about, middle to the second part of the surah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about what that punishment is, the one that Allah has prepared for the people of his enemies. And Allah talks about Jahannam, where Allah has created 19 angels that are looking after Jahannam. Now the Quraysh, they started to mock this issue of 19 angels. Abu Jahl, he started to say, only 19 angels? So what did he say? He said, come on guys. He said, come on, 200. He said, if 200 of us enter Jahannam, couldn't each of us take out one of the angels? Couldn't 10 of us just come together and destroy all the angels, beat them up? So he started to mock Allah. He started to mock this issue of 19 angels. Okay? Why did Allah call it 19 angels? Because Allah wanted to. We believe in a God who does what He wills. He decided 19 angels, so He put 19 angels. He could have made more than that. He could have made less than that, and He could have made no angels at all. All of this universe would be created without any angels at all. It would be destroyed without any angels. Just the power of sound will destroy the whole of the universe. So Allah, if Allah wants to, He will punish us without any angels overlooking Jahannam. But Allah decided to put 19 angels. We believe in a God who does what He wills. But the Quraysh tried to mock Rasulullah. So Allah tells us in the middle part of the surah that the putting of 19 was for many reasons. Number one was to tell Ahlul Kitab, the Jews and the Christians that were around Quraysh, that indeed Rasulullah is a true prophet. Because if they look into their books of the Injil and the Torah, they will find also 19 mentioned in there. So this is to affirm that this is the true prophet of God. Number two, a number was put so that the Quraysh would increase in their own plan to increase them in their own misguidance and in their own punishment in the hereafter. And it was also put as a test for the disbelievers and for the believers to know that the power and might of Allah is so great that He can only put 19 angels, and that would be enough to look after billions and trillions of human beings and jinns that will go into Jahannam and be punished. Only 19 angels could punish so many people. It shows therefore the power of Allah. The power of Allah. Then we come to the last part of the surah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about the people of Jannah. When they enter Jannah, they will look down and they will see the people of Jahannam, and they will ask them why they entered Jahannam. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will say to the people of Jahannam, will say why they entered Jahannam. Just to tell the people of Quraysh at that time that if they persist in their misguidance, this is how they will be, and this is the answer that they will give as well. So this is the answer of the people of Jahannam, why they entered Jahannam. Finally, this surah will finish off by talking about why is it that the Quraysh run away from the Prophet ﷺ, just like these wild beasts that run away from a predator. So we know in zebras, for example, or deer, when they run away when they see a leopard or a lion, they run away in the same way. They treat the Prophet ﷺ as that lion, and these people run away from the Prophet ﷺ just like the deer run away from this predator. Why are they treating Rasulullah like this? It is nothing except out of their arrogance and their desire to be of those people who do not listen to the Prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Messenger. This is a nice beautiful surah. Let's take it inshallah, and let's take what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says about His enemies and how Allah prepares the Prophet straight away to stand up and call the path of Allah. And Ikhwani, my brothers and sisters in Islam, when you read this verse, have two things in your mind. Number one is how you should be like the Prophet prepared to go out and call the path of Allah. Because we are the ones covered up. The Prophet was covered up, but the ones who are truly covered up under garments and under layers of covering is us. Because we are the ones who are not calling the path of Allah. We're the ones who are resisting. We're the ones who are truly not taking a path to preach our message to Islam, to humanity. We're the ones who are the true Muddathir. We are the ones who are truly covered up in the garments. So let's throw the garments off our shoulders and off our heads and truly take a path and call the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of Allah, the one who is most merciful to all creation, the one who is specifically merciful to believers. Ya ayyuhal Muddathir, oh the one who is wrapped up in garments, oh the one who is covered up in layers of clothing, oh human beings, those who are fooled from taking a path to call to the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Qum fa'andir, throw the garments off, stand up and warn. The very first thing that we're meant to do is to prevent the evil before attainment of good. In Islam, the most important thing that we have to do is to prevent the harm before attaining good. The most important thing is to stop people from drugs before you try and make them better with their parents. The most important thing is to first make them stay away from their girlfriends and their boyfriends, from having illegal sexual intercourse before you tell them to get married. The point I'm trying to make is first decrease evil in the society, then increase good in the society. Does that make sense? In the da'wah that we do, what is our first focus? Our first focus should be to decrease the harm of society, then to increase the good. And that is why the Quran starts off with Qum fa'andir before and give them glad tidings, Bushra. First you are a Nadir, then you are a Bashir. Nadir means you are a warner, then you are a Bashir, meaning a glad tidings, a giver of glad tidings. Okay? So Ikhwan, this is very important. First remove the harm. La dara wa la dirar. Right? And that is why the scholars of Islam in Maqasid al-Sharia they say Darb al-mafsada muqaddam ala jalb al-maslaha. Darb al-mafsada, removing the harms, giving precedence by taking good. So tell people don't do shirk, then tell people worship only one God. And that is why Tawfique starts off with La ilaha and then illallah. Meaning first deny all the false gods, then affirm there's only one true deity worthy of worship. Are we clear about this, everybody? That's why Allah starts with Qum fa'andir. The first thing being warn them that if they do not listen to what you're about to tell them, they will be put into this tremendous fire. Meaning purify your garment. And this is an important message from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to prepare the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that indeed the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam cannot expect to be pure inside unless he's also pure outside. If you don't purify your outer garments and purify your external character, you cannot expect to purify your inner being. And that is why the inside has an effect on the outside, the outside has an effect on the inside. So that is why the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, authentic hadith, إن في الجسد مضغة إذا صلحت صلح الجسد كله وإذا فسد الجسد كله ألا وهي القلب. In the heart is a morsel of flesh, in the body a morsel of flesh, is good, the whole body is good. Meaning the internal has an effect on the external. Also we know the external has an effect on the internal. What's the proof of that? The Prophet ﷺ said, give gifts, you will love each other. So giving gifts is an external, and loving each other is internal. So when you give gifts, it will cause your internal to also love each other as well. So the external has an impact on the internal. Another example, the Prophet ﷺ said, حَاكُ بَيْنَ الْمَنَاقِبِ وَالْأَقْدَامِ وَلَا تَخْتَلِفُوا وَتَخْتَلِفَ قُلُوبَكُمْ. And do not straighten your lines. Put your heels and your shoulders straight and do not differ in your lines. For if you differ in your lines, then your hearts will begin to differ. So can you see how the external has an impact on the internal? And that is why if your clothes are not good, if your dress is not right, if you are not upon tahara, how can you expect your body and your internal to be upon tahara? You can't. And that is why our purification of our body and our heart in our salah starts off with wudu. Wudu comes first because the external will have an impact on the internal. Right, Ikhwani? And that is why, Ikhwani, I'll tell you all as well. When you stand up for Fajr Salah, do you wear proper clothes? Do you wear proper clothes, or do you pray in the same clothes that you went to sleep in? Allah says in the Quran, Ya bani Adam, khudhu zinatakum 'inda kulli masjid. O children of Adam, take your purification at the time of every prayer. We should not be praying our Fajr prayer in our sleeping clothes. Always in the best clothes, because the external will have an impact on the internal. Same thing, the mouth. Keeping your mouth clean and smelling beautiful and putting perfume on your body. One of the worst things I find today is Muslimin have forgotten the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. You know what the sunnah is? The sunnah is perfume. Ibn Hajar rahimahullah says in Fathul Bari, La israfa fi-t-tib. There is no extravagance when it comes to perfume. No extravagance. You can have extravagance when it comes to a car. You can have extravagance when it comes to clothes. You can have extravagance when it comes to homes. But you have no extravagance when it comes to perfume. Buy perfume. Put a lot of perfume. Our Prophet used to take perfume like this and pour it on his body like this until his whole body will be caked in perfume. Aisha radiallahu ta'ala said, the authentic hadith from her in Bukhari. She said after, when the Prophet had passed away and she was imagining the Prophet entering her house, she said, كَأَنِّي أَنْظُرُ إِلَى وَبِيسِ الطِّيبِ بِمَفْرَقِ شَعْرِ رَسُولِ اللَّهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ. It is as if I can see the glistening of the perfume in the parting of the hair of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Prophet would take perfume like this and pour it on his body until perfume would be pouring down. Yes, today, why is it that we smell? Why is it that our brothers smell today? Sometimes we have forgotten that we stink, and so much so that we don't even notice our own smell. No, everyone should smell the most beautiful you can. Put a lot of perfume. Take perfume like this, pour it on your body. How much is it? 1 ringgit, 2 ringgit? Come on, you can't afford this. If you smell beautiful, angels will be around you. Shaitan will run away from you. If you smell beautiful, people will behave well with you. They will not behave bad with you. Ikhwani, start smelling beautiful. Shave your underarms. Use perfume and clean your outer body and smell beautiful. And this masjid should never ever smell except the most beautiful things. Muslimin, they smell beautiful. Muslims don't stink, they smell beautiful. And cleanse your garments, outer garments. Smell beautiful always and look clean and beautiful. What ruj is a fahjur? Ruj, what does that mean? Ruj comes from the word rijs. Rijs is everything that which is evil and filthy. So anything that which is evil and filthy is called rijs. So So an example is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us the aslam and the azlam innaha ritsun. They are rits. Rits means that which is everything that which is filthy. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, stay away from the filthy things. What are those things that are filthy, Ikhwani? Filthy are those things that smell bad. Those things that smell bad are filthy. Those things that are spiritually filthy are also filthy. Example of things that are spiritually filthy is talismans, charms, omens, good luck charms, tarot cards, for example, statues, for example, idols. These are all considered filthy in Islam. So Ikhwani, do not have them on your phones. Do not keep them on your body. Do not carry them on yourself. Do not carry these things on yourself. Do you understand what they are? Tarot cards, ways of telling the future, horoscopes. You might be a Scorpio and you keep a Scorpio sign in your car, you know. You're acting stupid here because this is haram. This is this. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, remove every evil and every filth. So anything which is spiritually filthy, remove them. Any sign of the other religions, like the cross, like for example, anything. Did you know the religious signs of other religions is considered rits in Islam? So stay away from them and do not keep them in your homes. Do not keep them in yourself or in your car. Do not remove them all. Also, Ikhwani, another example of rits which we are careless today is Nike sign. For example, you know the Nike sign? A lot of us wear Nike boots, wear Nike shoes, we wear Nike clothes. The Nike sign, the tick sign is actually the sign of the god of war. This is the sign of the god of war in Greek mythology. Get rid of it. Innaha ritsun. Get rid of it. Get rid of it. Cut it out. Block it out. Mark it out. Get rid of it. That's right. Ikhwani, we have unfortunately entered so much kufr and shirk into our lives that is why the angels stay away and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't answer a dua. How will Allah answer a dua if you're wearing Nike shoes, Nike boots, wearing gold on your hands, you just have drank alcohol and then you're smelling like a garbage bin? How is Allah going to answer your dua? Not possible. So, Muddathir stay away from everything that is filthy spiritually and also physically filthy. So what is physically filthy? Blood, pork, alcohol, dogs. Stay away from these things. Do not keep a dog as a pet. Do not keep alcohol in your homes. Do not have smoke in your homes. Do not let anyone who smokes come into your house, because angels will leave the house then. Do not smoke. Do not smell of smoke. And do not let smoke smell permeate in your homes. Bathrooms. And that is why this is a foreign, non-Muslim concept, to keep bathrooms in your homes. The Islamic concept, if you go back to Islamic architecture, they never had bathrooms inside the house. Bathrooms were always outside, away, far away from the homes. Why? Because bathrooms stink. Bathrooms smell. You do dirty things in bathrooms. They are not suitable for the homes. Okay? That's why bathrooms are called khala. Because you're meant to do your number 1, number 2, number 3 in the khala. Khala means far away in the wilderness. Right? That's why it's called khala. So what I'm saying is, if you do have bathrooms in your homes, of course you have 3 bathrooms, mashallah. 3 bathrooms because of you have 3 bedrooms, you've got 3 bathrooms now. So what you need to do is keep perfume in the bathrooms, or those machines that always constantly spray. If you don't listen to what I'm telling you, if you think I'm just joking, if you think I'm being extravagant, then I'll tell you something. Wallahi, your bathrooms are full of jinns. Wallahi, your bathrooms are full of shayateen. Wallahi, when you go there next time to put your pants down, or you take your shirts off, or your wife does that to have a shower, or your daughter, or your mom, then you know that the shaitan will mock them and hurt them as well. So be very, very, be very careful. Do not keep any bad smells in your homes at all, and make sure they're always smelling of perfume. And do not seek an increase in anything after you've given something. What does that mean? So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is preparing the Prophet for da'wah. So he said, go and call to the path of Allah, purify your clothes, stay away from dirty things, and وَلَا تَمْنُنْ تَسْتَكْثِرْ, meaning purify your character, and one of the best ways to purify your character is to give gifts to people without expecting a return that is more than the gift that you have given. Many a times when we give gifts, let's say you give a gift to a righteous person, or you give gifts to a wealthy person, what you expect is something bigger, isn't that right? So if for example, the Prime Minister of Malaysia was here, if you gave him a gift, what you're really expecting is $1 million ringgit in return, right? Okay, so for example, the Prime Minister comes here and you do a big function and you present him a big plaque. This is a appreciation from the University of IIUM. Okay, you present a big plaque to him. What you're actually hoping is that the Prime Minister will write a check for another 10 million ringgit so you can build another faculty of whatever else, isn't that right? And that's kamnun tasdaqtin. This is to give a gift, expecting something bigger in return. So the Prophet ﷺ was forbidden from that. Are we allowed to do that? We are allowed. We are allowed. But the Prophet was forbidden that. However, remember this, that this is a lack of akhlaq, a poor character. When we give gifts to people, we should not expect anything back. We should not give gifts with the ulterior motive that they should give something back. Right? This shouldn't be the way things are, everyone. Though it is permissible for us, it is still makruh or disliked. Not haram, but it is makruh or disliked for us to do so. For the Prophet ﷺ, it was haram. Why? Because the Prophet ﷺ should establish the highest moral akhlaq and character. And that is why the Prophet was told to give a gift without expecting anything high in return, right? Without expecting anything back in return. وَلَا تَمْنُنْ تَسْتَكْثِرْ وَلِرَبِّكَ فَاصْبِرْ. And for your Lord, be patient, meaning when you cleanse yourself, prepare to stand up to the call, you stayed away from the haram, and you perfected your akhlaq, now you're ready to go on the path of Allah to call. When you're going to do that, people are going to attack you, and they're going to harm you, and they're going to speak against you. So for your Lord, be patient. وَلِرَبِّكَ فَاصْبِرْ. Because da'wah is not easy. It is going to be difficult, it's going to be full of hardship. So وَلِرَبِّكَ فَاصْبِرْ. For your Lord, be patient. فَإِذَا نُقِرَ فِي النَّاقُورِ. And when the blowing happens in the horn, nuqira means, that's the naqar, okay? Or, as the scholars mentioned, to scratch. Okay? So it's either the blowing or the scratching sound that happens with naqur. What is naqur? What is meant by here is the horn. So what is being referred to here? فَإِذَا نُقِرَ فِي النَّاقُورِ. When the blowing happens in the horn of Israfil, right? Which will signal the day of judgment. فَإِذَا نُقِرَ فِي النَّاقُورِ فَذَلِكَ يَوْمَئِذٍ يَوْمٌ عَسِيرٌ. On that day, that is the يَوْمٌ عَسِيرٌ. What is يَوْمٌ عَسِيرٌ? That is the most severe day. Asir means not asir. Asir means a juice. Asir is different. Okay? Asir means very severe. Something that is very, very severe. فَذَلِكَ يَوْمَئِذٍ يَوْمٌ عَسِيرٌ. That is the most severe day. Can you imagine, ikhwani? We are all going to be raised up, naked, uncircumcised, barefooted, with the sun 1 mile above our heads, with the ground like silver reflecting, so the heat is so hot, the ground is so hot, reflecting the heat on our bodies. No shade, no drink, 50,000 years with the angels on our backs, with another angel that is hovering in the sky with our book of deeds telling this is what you have promised, this is the day of judgment. With us looking at others that we wronged in this dunya, they're running to us, grabbing us and saying, give me my deed. For 50,000 years, arguing and shouting and screaming, hearing Jahannam, smelling Jahannam, not being able to see Jannah, not knowing what will happen to us. For 50,000 years, we go to the prophets and even they are worried. We go to the Salihin, even they are worried. 50,000 years, everyone. فَذَلِكَ يَوْمَئِذٍ يَوْمٌ عَسِيرٌ. What a severe day, everyone. What a severe day. عَلَى الْكَافِرِينَ غَيْرُ يَسِيرٌ. Of a surety upon the disbelievers, it is not going to be easy. Why? Because on top of this, the disbelievers are going to be raised up deaf, dumb and blind. وَنَحْشُرُهُمْ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ عَلَى وُجُوهِهِمْ عُمْيًا عُمْيًا وَبُكْمًا وَسُمًّا. And we will raise them up on the day of judgment on their faces, blind, deaf, and cannot speak, mute. They cannot speak. Subhanallah. So deaf, dumb, blind on their faces, with an angel sitting on their backs. Yes, Allah. On top of all of this heat. Can you imagine how severe it is for them? عَلَى الْكَافِرِينَ غَيْرُ يَسِيرٍ. Upon the disbelievers, it will not be easy. ذَرْنِي وَمَنْ خَلَقْتُ وَحِيدًا. So leave me alone, O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Leave me. ذَرْنِي, leave me. With whom? وَمَنْ خَلَقْتُ وَحِيدًا. With the one that I created by myself. وَحِيدًا. That I created by myself in the womb of his mother. Who is he referring to? Al-Walid ibn Mughira. He is referring to this enemy of God with the name called Walid ibn Mughira. ذَرْنِي O Muhammad. Leave me alone, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, with this man that I created in the womb of his mother by himself. Who? Al-Walid ibn Mughira. Who was this man? He was an introvert, quiet, but cunning and a devil. You know the one that I told you is the worst of enemies? It's not the one who talks too much. The one who tells you he hates you. He's going to kill you. I'm going to cut your throat. No. That one is the easiest one. Because he's talking already. You can tell where he is. He's exposed himself. The most cunning enemy, the most dangerous enemy is the one who does not expose himself. The one who's quiet. The one who's quietly plotting and planning. That's the one you've got to prepare for. Right? The one who pretends to be your friend. And then he comes and backstabs you. Okay? So this is Walid ibn Mughira. He was seeing Abu Jahl, Abu Lahab, all of the enemies of God, telling him how to destroy the Quran, how to destroy the Message of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but he completely kept quiet. All he was, he walked around. He walked up and down, thinking what to do, how should I destroy it. And then he comes up with a plan. So Allah is going to tell us about Walid ibn Mughira. ذَرْنِي وَمَنْ خَلَقْتُ وَحِيدًا. Leave me alone, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, with the one that I created on my own. وَجَعَلْتُ لَهُ مَالًا مَمْدُودًا. And I gave him wealth, wealth. Mamduda, meaning I increased it so much. I gave him so much wealth. Countless wealth I gave him, meaning Allah made him a very wealthy man. وَجَعَلْتُ لَهُ مَالًا مَمْدُودًا وَبَنِينَ شُهُودًا. And I made him بَنِينَ شُهُودًا. What is بَنِينَ شُهُودًا? Bani means children. Shuhuda means that these children were not only given to him, not only did Allah give him a lot of sons. How many? The tafsir mentions that Walid ibn Mughira had no less than 10 sons. So can you imagine how many sons? SubhanAllah. As you know, the non-Muslims used to love sons, right? More than daughters. So look at how blessed he was. Allah gave him so much wealth, on top of that gave him sons, male children, right? Shuhuda. What does shuhuda means? It means he had so much wealth. They did not need to send his sons for tijara business. His sons used to be in Makkah with him. They had so much wealth, so many people working for them, that he didn't have to send his sons off to Hijab. Many other people, what they had to do is that when they had children and sons, they had to send them off for business as well, off to Sham, off to Yemen for business. But this guy had so much wealth, so much children, that they are not even having to leave and go away. They're actually with him. So how blessed is that? Can you imagine that? How blessed. You know, we all have children, right? We will have children, inshallah. When we have children, our children might get married, one will go to America, another will go to France. They're not shuhuda. What was the blessing of children there? It's more a difficulty for us sometimes, isn't it? Because you hardly get to see your daughter or your son. But to have your son and daughter be with you in the same country, living in the same house, or next door to you, what a blessing is that? Correct? And that's what Allah says. وَبَنِينَ شُهُودًا. And children that are ever present with him, not having to travel and leave him and cause him grief in his heart. وَمَهَّدْتُ لَهُ تَمْهِيدًا. And I increased it for him, تَمْهِيدًا, even more. I outstretched it, meaning I outstretched his provisions. Whatever business he did, he made profit in it. Whatever things he touched, he made gold, he made silver, he made wealth. Okay, مَهَّدْتُ لَهُ. Mahada means to outstretch and to spread out. مَهَّدْتُ لَهُ تَمْهِيدًا. And I spread out for him as much as he wanted. ثُمَّ نَطْمَعُ أَنْ أَزِيدَ. On top of that, he hopes that I'll give him more. Yes, Allah. Isn't that how people are? We have wealth, we have children. On top of that, we want even more. Yes, Allah. You know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed me the other day, alhamdulillah, with my 6th child. MashaAllah, alhamdulillah. and she's a daughter, alhamdulillah. Another shield from Jahannam, inshallah. So, when I had this, and mashallah, now she is, you know, when you have little newborns, you don't really enjoy them much because all they do is sleep. All they do is sleep or drink water, or drink milk, or cry. Okay? And that's it. You know, they only wake up when it's time to drink the nappy or drink. But now, after 3 weeks or 4 weeks, now she's opening her eyes, beginning to smile, recognize you. She's, you know, and all I can say is, Allah, give me one more after this. Because she's going to grow up very soon. And then I want another one, and another one, at that same age, you know. I don't know if you have kids yet, perhaps you don't, but when you do, you'll see subhanAllah. That children at that age, you want to love them, play with them, but they grow up too soon. And so you feel like asking Allah for more. And that's why Al-Walid al-Mughira, ثُمَّ يَطْمَعُ أَنْ أَزِيدُ. Then he wishes I increase him in that. So what does Allah say? Kalla, no more. No. That's it. That's the limit of my blessing you. That's it. Kalla, no more. Rather, nay. إِنَّهُ كَانَ بِآيَاتِنَا عَنِيدًا. Why will I not increase anymore? Because إِنَّهُ كَانَ, he used to be, بِآيَاتِنَا, to my sight, عَنِيدًا. What is عَنِيد? Rejecter. He was a rejecter of my sight. When my verses came, when my prophet came, all of these came to him, he rejected it. That's why I will not increase anymore. كَلَّا إِنَّهُ بِآيَاتِنَا عَنِيدًا. So what will Allah do? سَأُرْهِقُهُ صَعُودًا. Ihraq means, أُرْهِقُهُ means I will put upon his shoulders. So, for example, my brother is over here, and my brother is, for example, he's got a backpack. And then what I do is I take a lot of books and I put it on his shoulders. Suddenly, as soon as I put it on his shoulders, he falls down on the ground. Okay? He falls down on the ground, doesn't he? Because it's so heavy. So, أُرْهِقُهُ means I will throw upon him صَعُودًا, a huge load. So, أُرْهِقُهُ صَعُودًا, I will throw upon him huge load. Another tafsir of this verse means, Ihraq also means to burn. So, أُرْهِقُهُ صَعُودًا, I will burn him in the ever-increasing fire, in the ever-increasing Jahannam, which will scour him and burn him. So only Allah knows what is meant by it, but what we do know that what this verse means is that Allah will punish him in one of the worst of ways. So, أُرْهِقُهُ صَعُودًا. إِنَّهُ فَكَّرَ وَقَدَّرَ. Why will I punish him this way? إِنَّهُ فَكَّرَ وَقَدَّرَ. فَكَّرَ. إِنَّهُ فَكَّرَ. What does that mean? He did fikr, which is to think. He kept on plotting and planning. وَقَدَّرَ. Qadar means plot. So he thought and he plotted. He plotted and he planned. إِنَّهُ فَكَّرَ وَقَدَّرَ. What did he do? Well, when all the Quraysh got together, all the Sanadi of Quraysh got together, they would say what to do. What this Al-Walid al-Mughira was doing was quiet. He was walking around, just thinking what to do. Plotting and planning, plotting and planning. إِنَّهُ فَكَّرَ وَقَدَّرَ, and started walking around. فَقُتِلَ كَيْفَ قَدَّرَ. So, قُتِلَ means, may Allah kill him, meaning, لَعْنَةُ اللَّهِ عَلَيْهِ. Okay? When Allah says قُتِلَ, means may he be killed, but actually what that means is لَعْنَةُ اللَّهِ. Okay? فَقُتِلَ كَيْفَ قَدَّرَ. يعني لَعْنَةُ اللَّهِ عَلَيْهِ كَيْفَ قَدَّرَ. Curse be of Allah upon him, how he plotted and planned. ثُمَّ قُتِلَ. Then again let him be cursed. لَعْنَةُ اللَّهِ عَلَيْهِ again. This is Allah cursing. Can you imagine? Sheikh al-Islam ibn Tawfique, he said, anyone who Allah has cursed, anyone who the Prophet has cursed, will be punished in Jahannam for a very long time. Okay? Who are the things Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has cursed? Who are the ones the Prophet has cursed? لعنة الله على الديوث, لعنة الله على الكذاب, لعنة الله على كذا وكذا. How many things we know the Prophet has cursed? Whichever things have been cursed, then that person who does those things is in danger of being punished by Allah in Jahannam. Okay? ثُمَّ قُتِلَ كَيْفَ قَدَّرَ. May he be cursed again, how he plotted and planned. كَيْفَ قَدَّرَ. How he plotted and planned. ثُمَّ نَظَرَ. Then he looked. ثُمَّ عَبَسَ وَبَصَرَ. عَبَسَ, he turned away. Meaning, he thought he had an idea. Then no. عَبَسَ, and he turned away. وَبَصَرَ. Then he opened his eyes. He came up with a plan. ثُمَّ أَدْبَرَ. Then he turned around to the people. And he said, أَدْبَرَ وَاسْتَكْبَرَ. And he said, I know now what to do. Okay, istakbar, meaning he said, be proud. and haughtiness. واستكبر فقال, what did he say? إن هذا إلا سحر يُؤْثَرُ. He said, this is my devilish plan. We're going to call this Quran nothing but magic. In هذا Quran إلا is nothing but sihr, is magic, يُؤْثَرُ, magic that is spread forth. It is nothing but magic that is being coming out of the mouth of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Wasn't this a devilish plan? Absolutely. Because by calling it magic, people will stay a mile away from him, will not even listen to him, will not even want to come near him lest they get bewitched. And their plan worked actually. Not one single person accepted Islam. Okay? Not one single person accepted Islam. They had the Rasulullah for many years because of the fact that the only ones who accepted Islam were who? Those who had someone else go to him. Directly, very few people accepted Islam from the Prophet ﷺ. Many others accepted Islam through others, like what? Abu Bakr, radiallahu ta'ala, Ali, radiallahu ta'ala, Khadija, for example, right? So through them, many others accepted Islam. But for the Prophet ﷺ, very few accepted Islam in the first few years. Why? Because this word makes such a big impact. Have you ever heard that before? I mean, you know, sometimes there may be people that people have said bad things about you. I know when I was a young boy, there was a time when, you know how ulama sometimes fight each other, mashayikh have arguments with each other. When I was a young boy and I was learning about the deen, this was in 1992, 1993. At that time, there was a lot of fight between ulama and others. As you know, my friends over here who went to the university know what I'm talking about. The fights that some of the mashayikh used to have in Medina. The Muddathir and others, and you know what I'm talking about. The fitna that was there. So when what used to happen was one Sheikh used to say bad things about the other scholars, and you like that Sheikh, you used to hate others, you used to hate those other ones. Then later when he found out that this Sheikh was actually mistaken in these sort of arguments, it took a long time to go and take knowledge from those people again. Because your heart is like, oh no, that guy, he's this, he's that, he said this about that about it. It takes a long time when you hear something bad about somebody to take knowledge from that person again. And that is why, Ikhwani, that when these people started saying the Prophet was a magician, it took a very long time for people to then warm up to the Prophet's message again. Right? It took a long time before they could have the thiqah and the trust back in the message of Muhammad again. So this is why these sort of things are so bad. Spreading tales and lies about people are so bad because it really affects the heart. ثم عبس وبصر ثم أدبر واستكبر فقال إن هذا إلا سحر يُؤْثَرُ. This is nothing but magic that is put forth. إن هذا إلا قول البشر. This is nothing but the words of a man. This is nothing but the words of a man. سأصليه سقر. I will throw him into the fire. I will throw him into Jahannam. وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا السَّقَرُ. What will tell you what the saqar is? لَا تُبْقِي وَلَا تَذَرُ. It does not impact. You see, Ikhwani, how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala started off the beginning of talking about Walid al-Mughira by سَأُرْهِقُهُ سَعُودًا, and then again Allah tells him سَأُصْلِهِ سَقَرُ. Look at how much Allah hates this man. Look at how much Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hates this man. Subhanallah. Stay away from making Allah angry at you. Stay away from making Allah angry. Do not make Allah angry. Because it could be one thing that you have done that could totally destroy you. Look, this man, Walid al-Mughira, he did so many bad things in his life. He probably harmed people, raped women, he probably drank alcohol, worshipped idols. But all of this was not enough to make Allah as angry as this one incident. Which is him plotting and planning how to destroy the message of the Quran, correct? And this is why, I want to tell you something very important. One word that you say could earn Allah's anger in a way that you are destroyed forever. One word. One word. And that is why the Prophet ﷺ said, إِنَّهَا كَلِمَةٌ. It is only one word that a person says, for which a person is thrown into Jahannam 1,000 years struggle. Be very careful what you say. Be Be very careful what you do. If you have nothing good to say, then be completely quiet. Sometimes even mocking, you know mockery, I'll tell you what, in my country, Bangladesh, wallahi, mockery is so rampant. Mockery is so rampant. I remember when I first got my beard, and I once went back to visit my grandma back in Bangladesh. You know, my uncles came to me and they started mocking my beard. You know, in Bangladesh they have this stupid saying that, oh, with every beard is one shaitan. Yeah? Yeah, and I know the Bengalis are laughing in my audience. I know that because this is what they know, this is what they say. Do you know what Allah says in the Quran? You know what Allah says in the Quran? There were a group of people who mocked Islam as well. Okay, what did they do? There was a group of Arabs. They came and they mocked some of the Sahaba. Because some of the Sahaba were so poor, so malnutrition, you know, that they had big tummies. Do you know how you get big tummies because of malnutrition? What happens is if you don't eat too much protein, enough protein in your diet, you get less protein in your blood. Because of less protein in your blood, what happens is your tissues swell up. Okay? And when your tissues swell up, one of the things that happens is you get ascites. You get a tummy which is a bit large, bit of a large tummy. You see those slum kids who have big tummies? That's not because they are fat. It's not because they got cancer in the tummy. It's not because they got anything but water in their tummy. Okay? Because less protein, chronically, yeah? Over a long time you get less protein, you end up having a big tummy. Not because you're fat, not because of fat, but because of less water in it, less protein, and so a lot of water in your tummy. So these Muddathir, these people, they came and said, oh, look at the Sahaba, they're all fat. What did they say? They said the Sahaba were fat. They were not fat. They were actually malnutrition. They had less food. So they had big tummies. So they said, oh, they are fat. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed the verse in the Quran. What is the verse? قُلْ أَبِاللَّهِ وَآيَاتِهِ تَسْتَهْزِئُونَ لَا تَعْتَذِرُوا الْيَوْمَ قَدْ كَفَرْتُمْ بَعْدَ إِيمَانِكُمْ. Say, is it by Allah and is it in His signs that you are mocking? Do not give any excuse, for indeed you have disbelieved after you have believed. This is why, if you mock anything about Islam, mock anything about Islam, you are a kafir. You have disbelieved, it's kufr. And that is why our scholars, may Allah have mercy upon them, they used to say, you cannot even use ism tasghir for a masjid or a mushaf or the Quran. What is ism tasghir? Ism tasghir means the small word of that thing. So, akh, ukhay. Ukhay means little brother. Akh means brother. Ukhay means little brother. Masjid means masjid. Musayjid means small masjid. Okay? Mushaf means mushaf. Musayjid means small mushaf. So they used to say you can't even say ism tasghir of masjid. Oh, what a musayjid. You can't. Because it might be that you're actually mocking the masjid by saying it's a small masjid. You can't say it's a musayjid. Why? Because you're actually mocking the mushaf, saying it's not a mushaf, it's a small mushaf. Does that make sense, Ikhwani? Be very careful of mocking Allah and His message, because you have become a kafir before when you are a Muslim. Very important. And especially, I'm telling you this because I know in our country, sometimes we mock. We call sisters in hijab Darth Vaders. You know, we do this in Saudi Arabia. I've seen this so much. A'udhu billah, this is mockery. This makes Allah very angry. And this is why one word you could do could throw you in Jahannam for 1,000 years and you don't know. So never laugh at these things. Never laugh at them, because this indeed is a very severe crime in the eyes of Allah. Okay, everybody? Right. سَأُرْهِقُهُ سَعُودًا سَأُصْلِهِ سَقَرْ وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا السَّقَرْ. What will tell you what the saqar is? لَا تُبْقِي وَلَا تَذَرْ. The fire is so severe, it does not leave anything behind, nor does it spare anything. لَوَّاحَةٌ لِلْبَشَرِ. Lawwah. What does lawwah means? A stab. So two meanings of lawwah. Lawwah can mean the stab, the khatam. So lawwah lil-bashar meaning the fire that scalds and burns the skin of the face. Al-bashar is usually the skin of the face. So it scalds and burns the skin of the face. Or lawwah means something that is branded. So it's like a plate of fire that is heated up in the fire, and then it is branded with it, your face. Your face is branded with it. So imagine a mask of metal that is heated up in the fire that your face is branded with it. This is lawwahatun lil-bashar. This is the fire that brands the skin. عَلَيْهَا 19. Upon this fire, upon Jahannam, is how many? 19. 19 means 19. So 91, 19 angels are kept above or responsible over the fire. وَمَا جَعَلْنَا أَصْحَابَ النَّارِ إِلَّا مَلَائِكَةً. We have not kept those responsible over punishing the people of Jahannam except malaika. إِلَّا malaika, except angels. وَمَا جَعَلْنَا عِدَّتَهُمْ. And we have not made their numbers. إِلَّا فِتْنَةً لِلَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا. Except as a fitna, as a test for those who disbelieve. Why? Because when they mock the number of 19, why only 19? Why not more than that? When they mock the number 19, it becomes an even more cause for them to have more fitna, more punishment in Jahannam, isn't it? So that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put 19, and Allah is telling us why to put 19. First reason is so that the kuffar, when they mock it, they will get more punishment in Jahannam, and these 19 angels will punish them even more. And so that is the first reason why Allah chose a number called 19. Why? إِلَّا فِتْنَةً لِلَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا لِيَسْتَيْقِنَ الَّذِينَ أُوتُوا الْكِتَابَ. The second reason is so that those who have utul kitab, which is the Jews and Christians, is yastayqinu, meaning that they had firm belief in their heart about what? That this Quran is true. Because in their scriptures as well, it was 19. And Muhammad could not have read the scriptures because they were in Hebrew or other languages. So how could Muhammad have known what the numbers were? So when Muhammad came up with the message of 19, which confirmed what is in their books, it must mean that this is also from the same God that sent those scriptures as well. Correct? لِيَسْتَيْقِنَ الَّذِينَ أُوتُوا الْكِتَابَ وَالْمُؤْمِنُونَ. And so that the believers can also have istiqam, which is to have firm belief in their heart. إِلَّا فِتْنَةً لِلَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا لِيَسْتَيْقِنَ الَّذِينَ أُوتُوا الْكِتَابَ وَيَزْدَادَ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا إِيمَانًا. And so that those who believe can increase in the iman. Why will they increase in the iman? Because they will see that what has been revealed to Muhammad is exactly what is in the books or the scriptures of the Jews and Christians. Okay? Because they will see therefore that it is from the same tasalsul of the same prophets. It will only add to their fiqh, their belief that the Prophet is a true prophet of God upon the same line of prophets as Musa, Isa, etc. Correct? Okay. لِيَزْدَادَ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا إِيمَانًا. And then the next reason why Allah did it is وَلَا يَرْتَابَ الَّذِينَ أُوتُوا الْكِتَابَ. And so that those who have been given the book have no doubt that this is from Allah. وَالْمُؤْمِنُونَ. And so that the believers also have no doubt. وَلِيَقُولَ الَّذِينَ فِي قُلُوبِهِمْ مَرَضٌ. And so that those in whose hearts is a disease. Who are we talking about? The munafiqun. The munafiqun. That is where the scholars of tafsir have differences whether this verse was revealed in Makkah or Medina, because there were no munafiqun in Makkah. So was this verse revealed in Makkah, Medina, or was it revealed after or before? They have differences. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. However, what is being referred to here is munafiqun. وَلِيَقُولَ الَّذِينَ فِي قُلُوبِهِمْ مَرَضٌ. And so that those people who have a disease, فِي قُلُوبِهِمْ, in their hearts, marad is disease. So in whose hearts is a disease, which is nifaq and hypocrisy, they will say, وَالْكَافِرُونَ, and the disbelievers around them will say, مَاذَا أَرَادَ اللَّهُ بِهَذَا مَثَلًا. What did Allah intend by this example, with this method? كَذَلِكَ يُضِلُّ اللَّهُ مَنْ يَشَاءُ. In the same way, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will disgrace those who disbelieve in my cause. In the same way, will Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala disgrace whoever He wills and misguide whoever He wills. وَيَهْدِي مَنْ يَشَاءُ. He will guide whoever He wills. Is there anyone amongst us, when we heard 19, except that had any problem in accepting it? Did any one of us have a problem accepting 19 angels? Anyone here? No. We also, alhamdulillah, Allah chose 19, no problem. Correct? We just grew in knowledge, isn't it? We just grew in knowledge saying, oh, mashallah, is there 19 angels? I didn't know that. 19 angels over Jahannam. So this is why, with every parable in the Quran, Allah increases whoever He wills in Hidayah and Iman and Taqwa. And whoever else Allah doesn't want to, if you recite the same verse to an atheist, if you recite the same verse to someone else, they will mock the Quran. And that is why with one parable, same parable, Allah will increase some people in Iman, and with others Allah will increase them in misguidance. SubhanAllah. Glory be to Allah. How the same thing can cause two different effects in two different people. كَذَلِكَ يُضِلُّ اللَّهُ مَنْ يَشَاءُ وَيَهْدِي مَنْ يَشَاءُ وَمَا يَعْلَمُ جُنُودَ رَبِّكَ إِلَّا هُوَ. No one knows how many is the army of Allah except Him. I already gave you an example. We said that there are at any given point in time 7 billion people on this earth times 5, 35 billion angels. Correct? Let me tell you on top of that. The Prophet ﷺ said in Muslim, he said there is not a single handspan. Handspan is this much. No handspan of the heavens and the earth. In the whole heavens and the earth, not a single handspan, except that Allah has created an angel in it. An angel in that space of handspan. And that angel is either standing, bowing, or prostrating to Allah. And they have been doing so ever since they have been created. And on the day of judgment, they will say, Oh Allah, we have not worshipped you as you truly deserve to be worshipped. Allahu Akbar. Amazing, isn't it? How many are the angels therefore? Another hadith, look at this one. The Prophet ﷺ said about Bayt al-Ma'mur. Have you heard of Bayt al-Ma'mur? Bayt al-Ma'mur is on the third heavens, above the Kaaba. Above the Kaaba, on the third heavens is a place called Bayt al-Ma'mur. It is like the Kaaba, where we all visit, we all go to Hajj and Umrah around the Kaaba. Bayt al-Ma'mur is a house just like that. And over there, the Bayt al-Ma'mur, the number of angels that visit the Bayt al-Ma'mur every day, the Prophet ﷺ said, is 70,000 angels visit the Bayt al-Ma'mur every single day. And they will never ever visit again. Meaning, next day will be another 70,000. Next day, another 70,000. They will not have a chance to visit again. So can you imagine how many are the angels of Allah? How many? Ya salam, ya salam. Ya salam. What does salam mean, by the way? Salam doesn't mean peace. Salam means peace if I say assalamu alaikum. But as-salam, which is the name of Allah, means the perfect God. The God that is perfect. Salam min kulli ayn. Okay? The one who is perfect from every deficiency. Ya salam, ya salam. Glory be to Allah, the one who is perfect in every way. So, وَلَا يَعْلَمُ جُنُودَ رَبِّكَ إِلَّا هُوَ. No one knows the army of Allah except Him. Means that therefore no one knows how many is the army of Allah except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala Himself. وَمَا يَعْلَمُ جُنُودَ رَبِّكَ إِلَّا هُوَ وَمَا هِيَ إِلَّا ذِكْرَى لِلْبَشَرِ. This is nothing but a dhikra as a reminder for humanity. كَلَّا وَالْقَمَرِ. I swear, rather than I swear by the qamar, which is qamar is the moon. كَلَّا وَالْقَمَرِ. I swear by the moon. So Yahweh, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has a right to swear by all His creation. He can swear by us, He can swear by the moon, He can swear by whatever He wants. Whereas us, we cannot swear by anything except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We can't say, as people say, I swear by my mother's grave. A'udhu billah, haram, la yajuz. Can I say I swear by the Quran?
Either Jahannam, which is a great tragedy upon kuffar, or the bad lies that are being spread about Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, saying that he is a kahana or he's a magician. All of these are kubar. Kubar means what a great lie and what a great tragedy it is. إِنَّهَا لَإِحْدَى الْكُبَرِ نَذِيرًا لِلْبَشَرِ. It is a warning to the bashar. It is a warning to human beings. لِمَنْ شَاءَ مِنْكُمْ أَن يَتَقَدَّمَ أَوْ يَتَأَخَّرَ. Whoever wishes amongst you to take a step forward by following the hidayah and coming close to Jannah, أَوْ يَتَأَخَّرَ, or take a step back by staying back, by not following the hidayah. And yata'akhkhar means to take a step back by going against the hidayah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and regressing from taking a path towards Jannah. Does that make sense? لِمَنْ شَاءَ مِنْكُمْ أَن يَتَقَدَّمَ, by listening to the hidayah, أَوْ يَتَأَخَّرَ, by rejecting the hidayah. كُلُّ نَفْسٍ بِمَا كَسَبَتْ رَحِينَةٌ. Allahu Akbar. Look at what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says. Kullu nafsin, every single soul, every single human being, bima kasabat, with what it has earned. Rahina means, what is rahan? Rahan is, does anyone know what rahan is? Rahan is the security deposit.